We are going to start with a nice mezcal cheers. So yeah, you can sip. I know you guys do this like cheers. Mm-hmm. You do it like this here. I've seen a bunch of you guys do this.
Okay.
Do you not do that? No.
No, I just do whatever. I just take the drink and
yeah. Nice. So we're very happy to have you here.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask you, I have a lot of questions that like have led you to where you are now. Mm-hmm. So you won last year the Phil Jones solo bass award.
Yeah.
In New York.
Yeah.
But how did you start like your music career? Like, were you? I don't know if you've like studied music. I assume so, but I'm not really sure. I couldn't find anything online that said that you had studied like in wherever, you know. How did that start?
Yeah, so I started playing bass when I was like 13.
Okay.
And my brother was really into a Guitar Hero and Rock Band. And so he got that for Christmas. And I was just starting to listen to a lot of his records like Pink Floyd and Led Zeppelin and Nine Inch Nails and the like. And so I was like really, really getting into music for the first time, like really absorbing it.
Because of Guitar Hero?
Before that, even. Because I was hearing him. He was a drummer, so I was hearing him drum in our garage, 3 hours a day for 5 years or something like that. And so it just kind of rubbed off on me. And so I started to really love music around that age. And I was really into like Pink Floyd and Led Zeppelin. And when we started playing Guitar Hero, I was like, this is fun, but it would be really fun to play an actual instrument, right?
Yeah.
So I picked up the bass because I thought I'd have a better chance at like catching up to all my friends and my brother who had been playing instruments for a while. So I was like, oh yeah, bass is probably pretty easy. I'll freaking probably only have to play one note. So, and I can probably, catch up to the other people. Right. But, I started I kind of wasn't that good for like a year or so, but I had an experience like a year down the road where what happened? I guess I went to a rock band camp, and it was like 6 hours a day just playing these tunes, and I was with all these guitar players who were way better than me, and I was like, man, this was very inspiring. So I was like, I kind of want to take this to the next level. So I had a lesson where a guitar lesson not too long after where they assigned us the song Santeria by Sublime.
Oh, wow.
And it's like it was a pretty sick song. And so most of the time, every lesson, we'd all like be given a song. And of course, every time we came back the next lesson to be like, all right, guys, did you learn the song? And everybody'd be like, not really. So we'd, try, anyway, but this time was different. So I went home and listened to the song and I loved it so much. And I was so inspired by the rock band camp that I went home and I practiced it, every day until I knew it, memorized it note for note from beginning to end. So the next lesson, they were like, oh yeah, the usual, like, did anybody learn the song? And I was like, yes, I did. I was just like so ready. And
me.
Yeah. And they're like, okay, right, let's hear it. And so they put on the song and I nailed it note for note from beginning to end. And like, dude, are you trying to start a reggae band or something? Right. So anyway, I was just like so stoked starting from that experience that I kind of just started playing bass all day. And I quit playing video games. Yeah. I quit everything else. And I just played bass all day and I never looked back. Right. So. Okay, nice. So it's pretty sick. And then to answer, I guess that's like kind of like my origin story, I guess. Yeah. The start of my journey. But to answer your question, after that, I guess a couple years of playing bass a few hours a day, my parents thought, oh yeah, it'd be a good idea for you to go to the music school. I was like, I don't know, can I make a lot of money as a musician? We'll see, right? Mm-hmm. But I auditioned for music school and I got in, and yeah, I just spent like 4 years on my degree at VCC. So I have a bachelor's in music. I learned a lot from music school. So I do have a lot of like formal training.
Yeah.
But that's kind of like
it's
where
only
it
part
all
of it.
started.
Yeah. Wow. And like you said your brother played drums.
Yeah.
Is he's still playing drums? Mm-hmm. Did you both like get into music because someone in your family also is like musical, or did you just sort of bumped into it the way you did?
Yeah. So no one in the family before my brother and I was musical. And
okay.
Interestingly enough, we did not have a musical family. My parents were like creative and like analytical in some ways. So I feel like they had the traits that could make a musician.
Okay.
But my brother and I were the first to pick them up. I don't think their parents were very supportive of them playing instruments, but my parents were supportive of us playing instruments. So I think that's why we were the first to kind of start it. And my brother, he's like five and a half years older. So he got obsessed with like all these different bands like 9 Inch Nails and Pink Floyd. And he had all these different phases, but I guess he just wanted to start a band with his friends and
hang out and play his favorite music. And
exactly. And so he thought, I guess he would gravitate towards the drums. So he'd started that. And then, after a few years of just hearing him, all the time, just drumming in the garage for 3 hours and
you're like, maybe I could.
Yeah, exactly. And listening to, records with him in the car, I was like, okay, maybe I want to.
This is kind of cool. Yeah. I guess, I don't play any instruments, but my oldest sister, she would listen to, my mom started, she loves Aerosmith, like still, and it's like music that she would hear too, like when she was like very young, like 17 years old or whatever. And so she got my sister into loving Aerosmith. She's also like 5 years older than me. And then she, started listening to Metallica and like Nirvana. And, so I obviously started to listen to it and started to love it. And then, you grow into your own human self and you start to acquire your own and gravitate towards like whatever you like the most, even though it's different from your family, or like different, right? But it's kind of, I guess brothers and older sisters like can play that role, which is cool because like he got you into something really that you have now ended up being like incredibly, talented. So
exactly,
so it's cool.
He had he was a big influence over like my direction in that sort of way. It's cool how like older siblings can kind of play that role in your life for sure. Yeah.
Do you play with him from time to time?
Yeah. So we used to play in a band together called Air Stranger. So we played a lot of gigs around town. We played Yolton Co. a few times. We recorded some music and released a few singles and stuff like that. And a lot of my friends from VCC were in that band too. But I guess what happened was my brother decided to take a route into more stable route in terms of his career, focusing on being a land surveyor and then the engineering kind of industry. So I guess he didn't have as much time. He was, in long-term relationships. So I guess he didn't have as much time. He has a girlfriend and, so it was just, he didn't have as much time, to dedicate to that, I guess. And so he,
you're like, I did.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I
you put in the time, work.
I sacrificed, other things to try to, you know,
yeah. And it's drive and like determination and and sacrifice, as you mentioned.
Yeah. So I guess he's still obviously like a great drummer and everything, and I guess he quit the band. But either way, it was all for what was the band ended up breaking up anyway.
Yeah.
So it was it wasn't meant to be. I guess there was just too many moving parts, personnel issues that were hard to resolve, and so
so for whatever reason, which happens,
which happens, right? But so we still jam together from time to time, and it's still great to play with him. But I guess we went two separate paths, which is okay. But he had a big influence over me in the beginning in terms of like the direction I went with the music and kind of setting me on this path. So I mean, so it's super cool to still jam with him sometimes, and but yeah, it's pretty sick.
And how did you get, like, when did you decide, like, I mean, you mentioned like, I'm going to play bass so I can, catch up to the rest of my friends. But like, when were you like, I need to get a bass, like now I need to start practicing? Like, did you go up to your parents and be like, I need a bass now? Get me now, because I need to start like 5 years ago.
Yeah. Well, it was interesting because I after a few hours of playing Rock Band, I was like, man, this is pretty sick. I want to kind of play this.
Do the real thing.
But my parents were reluctant to get me a bass to start because I had played 2 years of piano before and didn't really like dedicate a lot of time to it. I just kind of
so they were like, we don't know if we want to invest.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I would 15 minutes. They had to really push me to even practice like 15 minutes like before the lesson, or 15 minutes 3 times a week. Right. Okay. And so they're like, he's probably just going to go back to playing with his Lego and playing video games and playing World of Warcraft or something. Right. Which was the case for a few months. I was addicted to World of Warcraft for 6 months after I picked up the bass, right? So they're like, they were reluctant, but I guess they were like, okay, we'll give him, get him a bit beginner bass and some bass lessons and see how it goes, right? Yeah. And so
you had like private lessons at the beginning?
We had group lessons to start.
Oh, okay.
So, which was interesting because, the thing about the group lessons that's cool is that like you can like jam together at the end of the lesson, right? Which is important. A big important part of learning to play music is learning to play with others. So that's one of the things we got out of those lessons. But yeah, I kind of sucked for like the first year or so playing bass until like I quit World of Warcraft, and then
they're like, oh, maybe it was that.
Yeah. I started practicing a lot more when I quit, so I was like, I didn't have anything else to do, right? So
you had like a lot more energy to focus and less like white noise, I guess. To concentrate, or I don't know. Yeah. Okay, cool. And then how did you decide, like, you mentioned your parents were like, well, maybe you should get into like music school, but when did you decide like, I can really, study this and see where this takes me now? Because I know it's like a hard decision for musicians to be like, oh, I don't know if I can really make a living out of this. I don't know, like I love it, but do I love it enough to be like, this is going to be my whole life? So how was that like, like that moment where you decided like, okay, I'm going to study this and just see where it goes?
Yeah, it's a good question. In the beginning.
How old were you when you decided that?
How old was I? I was like, I would say right from the beginning, I kind of wanted to be a rock star. Yeah. Right. So, but then I guess around grade 11, 12, I was like, oh, maybe I should be more realistic and try to maybe have the music, keep doing the music, but maybe, have a stable job, and then I can do music on the side or something.
Yeah. I need to put food on my table.
Yeah, exactly. Which is an important piece, but
for a human being. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So, but at a certain point, what happened? I guess my parents signed me up to audition for music school. I was like, I guess I'll give it a shot. And I auditioned and everything, and I dedicated some time into just, preparing for music school. I was like, screw it, I guess I'll try. And then in music school, it was around like partway through, I was like, okay, like I'm going to really, put my best foot forward and try to make it happen and become a professional musician. So it's just kind of at first I was like looking at the stars and like, I want to go there. And then I was like, oh, maybe not.
I should. Yeah.
and then as I kind of invested more time into the music school thing, I was like, okay, maybe I will, try my best to like just only do music and try to succeed at that. Right. So yeah, I guess,
I imagine it's not like that easy. It's not a yes and no. Or I'll just like, I'll go all in. For most of musicians. We found like whenever we have that kind of interaction with musicians, they're always like, well, it was kind of hard and I wasn't sure. And it's like, yeah, that makes sense. But it's always different. And it's really nice to like see how it's different for many of the musicians. And how did you start? Because you started building, like, how did you decide that I'm going to start doing like videos for my social media, like short videos? And just, was it more like, I'm just going to post videos and see? Or just like have fun, like whatever? Did you not really think much of it?
When I was like in grade 11, I started a YouTube channel, or grade 10 or 11. And I was like, wanted to, because I was seeing all the people just like, those were kind of in the heyday of YouTube, right? When people were just discovering it for the first time, and like all these videos were going viral, and it was like this big new thing. So I was like, oh, I want to try this. And I started putting out bass covers on YouTube. And so I kind of always wanted to succeed at the social media thing in some way. But I guess once I got into music school, I was just practicing all the time, and I had to study. And so I didn't have much of a chance to focus on the YouTube channel. So a little while later, I was in bands and stuff, and so I didn't really spend that much time on it. But after the band broke up, and I was playing in other bands, a bunch of different bands. I was playing in this one group called Dance Sessions, which is this kind of it's this group that we back up like different singer each time. Okay. So we invite singers from all over to and we're kind of like the house band and do like these cool videos, right?
Okay, cool.
And I was just playing one of my I was really into the solo bass thing and Victor Wooten and playing all the parts at the same time and the two-handed tapping. So I was just like messing around on an arrangement of Summertime by George Gershwin, I think. And one of the guys was like, you really need to start an Instagram channel with that. He was like, if you started posting those videos, you'll be getting thousands of followers. I was like,
you're like, done.
I was like, all right. I guess at the encouragement of the guys in that group, right, they're all like, yeah, you should definitely do an Instagram. This stuff would pop off. And so I started doing it. And
at least have you as followers.
Exactly.
Like,
at least I have 3 or 4 followers. Yeah, exactly. So I started it off, and it was, it was all right. It was pretty slow to start off. I was posting my arrangements, mostly getting comments and likes from friends and family and stuff. I had a couple posts that kind of did decent and got like a few thousand views, but it was really, really still quite slow. It took me almost 3 years to get to 1,000 followers, right?
Yeah.
So,
which is always like so that's what they say, like the first 1,000 is like really hard, and then or the first 10,000, some people say, and then it's like which is kind of weird. I guess it kind of makes sense, because then you find yourself sort of scrolling through some accounts and you're like, well, that person doesn't have many followers, I might not. I'll just maybe like the video, but then once you see there's a bunch, you're like, okay, I'll follow that person.
Exactly.
Which is kind of weird because no one sees if you're following or not. It's just kind of weird. But I saw you had like a bunch of videos, and then you just like exploded. Which was like it's insane. You get, a few hate comments, which I don't want to do because like they don't deserve our attention,
No,
your
exactly.
attention especially.
Totally.
But you have like really, really insane comments, and even from like really, famous people. Yeah. Which is kind of, I guess, very encouraging.
Very stoked about that. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, so you started building Instagram, like your videos. Do you still like find that was maybe like, was that still like time you had to set apart, or was it still something like, well, I'm still, putting in the practice and, getting better at my craft for my own project, like for my own music?
Right. That's a good question. So when I started really diving into the Instagram and TikTok thing, like, I was spending a lot of time coming up, formulating like a concept for a video. Yeah. Like, oh, this is what my own arrangement I'm gonna do, and this is gonna be the caption, and this is gonna be that, and so the preparing for the video almost was the practice at a certain point. So I was like practicing, especially during COVID, like 6-7 hours a day. Right. And like 5 of those hours were for the video I was going to post. Yeah. Right. So I got a lot better just from practicing for my videos, right? Because I would watch a lot of other guys who are going viral, like this bass player named Charles Berthoud, who was, huge.
The British guy.
The British guy, yeah.
The British big bassist. Yeah. Solo bass, yeah.
Yeah. So, and him and a few others, Lucas Brar, the Swedish guitarist, and, just all these different musicians. And I was just like trying to take, ideas from what they were doing and apply it to my thing. And so that helped me improve a lot, especially on the solo bass and the technical aspect. And then, so basically, the preparing the videos almost was the practice. At this point, once COVID ended, though, like I was very rusty in terms of playing with people. I was good at the technical thing.
Which I guess probably happens to a lot of musicians.
It's true. There was a lot of people who were very rusty. I remember like so many of my friends, I'm like, yeah, man, you're like twice as good as you were when we came out of COVID. Wow.
Like what happened? Yeah. You're like, I don't know, Instagram videos and
So anyway, so what ended up so
do you still were you still having those moments? You said like that was the practice. Yeah. But did you still then have to like find time to do your own music? Yeah.
So for that, I still had to find time for like writing my own compositions or working on, for example,
without having to think of a caption or, something for your, like, okay, I now want to do this. I don't really want to record myself because I want to figure out like what I want to do in, this song or...
For sure. Yeah. I was trying to work on skills that weren't necessarily for social media, like some more like fingerstyle stuff, especially when COVID, like the restrictions lifted and I was playing with people more. I was like, I had to dedicate some time to like practicing the things I need to actually play in a gig, right? So I started having to practice playing with my fingers more, or like, for example, practice improvising more, or like learning just regular bass lines, not doing the whole fast tapping thing. So so I do still have to do some of that, right? To just to keep my skills up in the vocational like
in a different box, just like in a different drawer.
Exactly. So I have to like compartmentalize for different things, practice. But I still do have to do that. But sometimes I find that, you can kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone, and what you practice for one can help with the other, and vice versa. Or sometimes I'll just like, whatever I'm preparing for a gig, I'll make that my social post for the week, right? So if I'm practicing the Seinfeld theme for my next, my next gig. I'll like put an arrangement up of the Seinfeld theme, which I've done like 4 times now.
I mean, Seinfeld's also, it's like,
it's the classic.
It's a good baseline,
You can't put a single post up there now. I can't put a single post up there without somebody saying, do the Seinfeld theme. Or like the Seinfeld theme is getting crazier and crazier. I could be playing like a country bass line or like playing something like the Mario theme, and people will be like, "Oh, nice! The Seinfeld theme sounds sick." I'm like, "Oh, you just can't get away from it now." I don't know.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. So you won this. You won first place for this contest.
Yeah.
You had already like decided by then when you went to New York, you had already decided, you had already studied, you had already decided like this is going to be my thing. You had already gone, doing a bunch of videos and, starting to, get better at your craft.
Yeah.
But when did you decide like, I'm just going to go and do this contest and see how it goes?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So I guess, again, sometime during COVID, I was just I was focusing a lot on the video thing because I was like, oh man, like there's, I've lost all my gigs. How am I going to like move my career forward? Well, social media is one way, right?
Yeah.
And so I was spending a lot of time on those videos, and I was just like, okay, like maybe like I was noticing that like a lot of time when people won like little contests online, they get a big boost in followers. So I was trying to enter in all these solo contests, like won a bunch of the ones that were hosted by Charles Berthoud, the British guy. And I ended up, I didn't end up placing for a few of them, but the last one I did, I ended up placing second, which was pretty good because it was like against 300 or 400 people worldwide. And so, yeah. So.
And like, were you at the same place, or did you like send a video? Or
it was just a video, kind of an online thing, right? So I was looking around for all these contests. I ran into the Phil Jones solo bass contest on YouTube and saw this guy named Josh Cohen, another virtuoso, doing an epic tapping piece, and he won first place like easily that year, right?
You're like,
and I was like, yeah. And that was like in 2020 or something. And I was like, okay, I'm going to sign up for that contest sometime. And then it was like spent 2 years kind of preparing, and I was looking at Josh Cohen's arrangements and trying to steal some ideas, right? For my own arrangements, and then like tailoring,
your own thing, your own style,
solo arrangements. And when the contest rolled around again, and the application deadline was beginning of October 2022. I sent a submission, I think on the last day. I was working on my solo arrangement of Musica della Noche, one of my originals from my album.
That's the one that you won with, right?
Yeah, that's the one I won with. And I put that one up, and I was selected as one of 12 finalists, and I got to the solo bass contest. And it was a pretty interesting experience. At first, I was very nervous because I was meeting all the contestants. I was like, oh no, you kind of do that thing where you psych yourself up, and you're like, oh, these are the guys I'm competing against. How do I know they're not like way better than me?
And then you're like looking them up on social media. You're like, oh shit. Like,
exactly. Looking them up. I'm like, oh, that guy did a slap thing. I'm not sure I can do. Oh no, that guy did a sweep picking thing. Oh, I can't sweep. And so I was kind of nervous, and the host apparently said that there's this guy from Chile who could have schooled all of us, and apparently maybe he meant all of you except for me, because
I won.
And I played my piece, and to rapturous applause, and the host put his hand on my shoulder, and he's like, "Are you for real, brah?" And apparently one of the
you're like, I think I'm
I was like, I'm not sure. Maybe you've heard this story before, actually.
No.
Oh, you didn't?
Sure.
Okay,
no.
It sounded like you did, actually, but that's okay. But you kind of finished my sentence. That was basically what I said. I was like, I don't know if I'm real. But and then what happened was apparently like my parents came out to support, and they heard like one of the judges who was Paul Simon's former bass player be like, oh, like I guess they do it differently in Canada, eh? So yeah, and so it was quite interesting. I won by a fair amount. I won by 69 points. So.
Okay. So
it was a pretty fair margin, and they were all great bass players in their own right. Like they were, but I think the reason why I won was because I had like a very complete composition, and like the solo bass thing was something I'd just been working
during all COVID. Yeah.
During all of COVID, just like honing my craft in there, and it was just kind of right in my wheelhouse. So that was. So it was a really great experience. I had a heck of a lot of fun, visiting. It was great to cap off like a nice like little vacation in New York by like, winning the contest. And that kind of spurred me ahead to, it was just like a big, almost like
like a nice pat on the back. Like, I'm on the right path.
Exactly. Right. So, and then I just started doing, a lot of other stuff.
And then how did you, because you mentioned like you went to the contest and then like you won, but like, how did you feel afterwards after you won? You said like, okay, I guess I'm on the right path. But like, did you feel like, okay, now I have to do like more, or did you feel like a little bit more challenged by your own self, or more like, okay, it's not like you're on the top of the world, but every time you win any contest, I feel like you sort of get that feeling of like, I'm kind of the king of the world. So
it's true. I was stoked about it. So after that, because it was a big goal I had been working towards for a couple years. So I was like, this is a good, what's the word? Not vindication, but it's a good just like stamp of approval on my playing and what I'm doing, right? When the judges especially like chose me as the winner. So what was I gonna say? So I felt
like you felt that did you feel like you had to like now do something bigger, or just like now I can just do something different? Well, you mentioned like I'm like validated or approved.
Validated, exactly. I felt validated and approved. I felt like I was done with the contest thing. I was like, man, I've done all these contests now, and I finally won one and won second place in another one. I was like, I don't need to do them anymore. There's too much pressure. I'm like too nerve wracking, and like I won, so like that's over now. I'm gonna focus on the music, and just after that, I was like, I guess my expectations were raised for myself in a way of like, okay, I won a contest. I should be able to just like plow through in terms of my career, and just like this should be, the catalyst for a bunch of other things. Yeah. Right. So I guess my expectations were raised in a way, which isn't necessarily a good thing, because you're bound to be disappointed. Yeah. Right. So after that, I was just like, okay, now I won a contest. Now what's going to happen? Like, am I just going to get into every gig I'm going to get into all the big festivals? And am I going to get like millions of followers or something? I don't know. Right. So I was, and in a sense, like the contest was still worth it, because I got like my first endorsements. I got invited to NAMM, and I got all this other stuff out of it, and all this clout and stuff. And it definitely,
opens doors.
Doors, and it's a big selling point on my bio and everything. Yeah. Right. But after that, I was, just kind of like, it was almost like I was just like kind of lost, a few months after, because I was like, okay, now what? What's the next step? Yeah. What's my next big achievement? Right. I was kind of pushing pressure on myself to find my next big achievement. But the thing is, life isn't really like that. You can't just like expect yourself to like always achieve.
Always have always have a milestone to like get to. Sometimes it's like, well, it's kind of like Yeah, like just the journey, or
The journey is very important too, and so for me, I kind of found my footing again when I started working on my arrangement of Get Lucky, which I've been working on for 6 years, and kind of putting that out and just focusing more on the music,
which paid off.
Yes, that one did pay off, right? That one got like, I think almost. Between
so many.
TikTok and Instagram, it has 4.6 million views or something.
Yeah.
So that one kind of blew up. And so when that happened, I was like, okay, like maybe this social media thing is going to be a big part of my career, since I've been spending so much time on it.
Yeah.
And then it finally kind of like blew up that I'm like, okay, like, there's something to this. I'm gonna kind of my main focus right now is really the social media thing, and how do I leverage that to move my career forward.
Yeah, which I guess you're doing really good.
Yeah.
And then how did you? I'm always starting my questions with how did you? Sorry, I get sidetracked sometimes by myself.
Okay.
But no, wait. I wanted to ask you first. Like when you got to the contest, like how was the contest? Like was it on a stage? Was it more like in the room and just having these like bunch of judges just going like looking at you very serious and just going like, and you're like, I don't know if am I doing this correctly? Is this something did I fuck up, or like what is this?
Yeah, it's
or is it like a bunch of people cheering you on or not, or like?
Yeah, it was kind of pretty informal, I would say. It's and I'm not sure if Americans are different than Canadians in this way, but they're just like, they just seem to have a different approach to things. Like, it was very like, it was in a guitar shop somewhere. In Brooklyn, and so there were like 4 or 5 judges, and there were the contestants, 11 or 12 of us, and everybody brought like friends and family. There was one of my favorite bass players, Marcus Miller's manager, apparently showed up. So there's a bunch of.
I mean, they're still big names. It's not like
they're big names. Yeah,
it's not like. Whatever. Just like a bunch of people that sort of play bass, or people that work at a music shop. It's like, it's big names.
Names. Yeah. Michael Tobias, one of the top luthiers in the world, was there. He was sponsoring the competition, with one of his basses. And so there's some important people there for sure. And, but it was kind of weird. They ordered pizza for us all, and they're like, "Oh, you guys can chill in the back of the shop." So it was very like informal type of thing. I met some of the judges, near the beginning, and they were pretty chill. They were pretty nice guys. They were, and just like chatting with them and stuff. And one of them was like, "Oh, like this guy is a monster." And he was pointing to somebody who obviously wasn't me. And then I got even more scared, right? But it was very chill. Some high profile people there, and definitely the judges all had like prolific careers. Like I said, one of the judges was Paul Simon's former bass player. So, very, very informal and kind of like laid back. It wasn't like we're standing on a podium and we're making these, poses like swimmers or something. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So it was like, but I guess it's still like nerve wracking, because it's still big names that are just watching you and just, judging you. And
I always get like very scared whenever somebody's like adjudicating me and like ranking me on points. I'm like, are they gonna, I have this imposter syndrome. Are they gonna like think I'm a fraud? Are they gonna think that this guy's music is fake?
I had one moment like that. I'm a lawyer in Mexico, or was a lawyer.
Right.
And I had like a press conference that I had to give about a specific thing. A very, very specific thing about an indigenous community that's fighting, was fighting for something in particular. And it was a case that it had been, going for like more than a decade. And I just got into that case, and then we decided to do, to take a different strategy. So we had just, taken that decision in my workplace. And so another lawyer and I had, built basically that new strategy, and we were going to go to Mexico City and present against the Supreme Court and blah, blah, blah. So we had to give a press conference about that. Mm-hmm. And one night before, my boss was like, so you're going to give the press conference. And I could not sleep. I was like, I wanted to throw up. The whole night I was like, I want to throw up. I can't eat. I was super stressed. I think I slept like 40 minutes, something like that, because I was just like incredibly stressed. I was like, if they ask me a bunch of questions, I'm not going to be able to answer them. And it was fine. Yeah. But the whole time I was like, this is just too much. It was very, very, very terrifying. Yeah. And especially because there's like a lot of reporters, which, I mean, they're not lawyers, so they still don't know more than you. Right. No, I mean, you're the lawyer, but still I felt like they're gonna know I'm not a good lawyer, or, because I also have that imposter syndrome. So
it was a totally thing.
It was terrible. It was terrible. I've had like spots in my face that were just out of stress. Yeah. So it was really bad. I was like sweating so much.
I feel that. I can imagine. Yeah.
I get it. I mean, in a different way, but yeah. I get the whole like feeling of like, this is not going to go well. Yeah. And then you do it and then you're like,
it's never as bad as you think. Yeah.
You're like, that's actually not that bad.
Yeah.
But it's really nerve wracking. Have you had any other moments like that, like those, like the one, that one, like from the contest?
Yeah, I would say like pretty much every time I share the stage with like a jazz musician, like an actual, not like someone who's into jazz fusion like me, but like an actual jazz musician. Yeah. I'm always like, is he going to be judging my playing? Is he going to hear some like pentatonic lick and be like, this guy is not it? Like, shaking his head in some way, but typically actually jazz musicians from personal experience are actually very nice people. And most of the guys that have played at like CAP or, the guys, like the jazz guys in town of like the younger guys anyway, have all heard of me somehow, even though I don't know who they are. So I either they've seen my videos or friends have shown them. But they're always like, oh, hey, how's it going, Colin? I'm like, do I know you? And they're like, yeah, man, I love your videos, man. You're so sick. So typically jazz musicians aren't as judgmental as like I expect them to be. But anytime I'm like on stage where I'm like, oh, is he judging my playing? Yeah. Like, so I might not get as nervous as I did in the solo bass contest, but I do still, I'm a bit have that imposter syndrome going. Like, I'm like the whole day before, I'm like, should I just be practicing jazz so that I can get my licks up to speed? And,
Do you feel it here? Like that anxiety kind of like
a little bit. Yeah. If for sure, if I'm about to be going on stage or something, sometimes,
I get it here. I get my whole anxiety is just like,
I got the feeling of just being nauseous and kind of like not wanting to eat. Yeah.
And then like now that you've been, exploding in social media, because you still are, you have this video of putting your knee up for the
Get Lucky?
Get Lucky, yeah. I was like, why did I forget the name? So you put your knee up, but can you explain that to me or to everyone exactly?
Oh, the bending of the harmonic with my leg. Yeah. So that was an interesting thing because a bunch of people said like, oh, like nobody ever says that in a video, like, right? So, but so a bunch of people like were like curious as to why why
is that taboo? Like, why is it?
Well, it's
like I get that impression, it's like,
well, I don't know if it's necessarily taboo. It's just like a bunch of people just didn't understand what I was doing, and so people were like, I guess criticizing me because I said, oh, when they say you can't bend a harmonic with your leg, and they're like, oh, nobody ever actually says that, but it was just a joke I was making to get people to watch, right? But I guess like there's some people, I guess the kind of taboo part was I'm playing something like super technical and just throwing on all these different notes, and people, some people are like
get offended by someone who's technical.
Get offended by somebody who's playing something really crazy, and they're like, I don't know why. They're just like it triggers them.
Like, don't watch that.
Just scroll past, right? But But I guess the whole move. Some people didn't understand it. They're like, why did he have to use his leg? He's just bending the body. But basically what I was doing is, there's a lot of guys I've watched that do the neck bend, but they're always sitting down, right? And when you're sitting down, you have enough leverage to push. Basically, what you're doing is you're pushing the body inward and the neck outward, right? So if you make a harmonic or an open string that rings out without you having to fret the note, it's going to lower it. Pushing the neck away is going to lower the pitch of the note. So it's going to create this like kind of cool pitch bend effect. Right? And it's a really cool like skateboard trick that you throw in, so that's
a good analogy.
Yeah, exactly. It's this kind of thing that if you if you time it just right and you really nail it, everybody's like at a show, everybody's like, holy cow, how did he do that? It's way easier than it looks, but it's just that thing that's just like, whoa, it kind of blows people's minds. And so when you're standing up, it's a lot harder when you're sitting down, because you don't have that leverage to kind of push against.
Like you'd have to put your hips out or
So it's really hard. You can kind of do it, but it's not as easy. So I just kind of brought my leg up to get more leverage. And I find the move it's a lot easier to bend the neck.
It looks really cool. So.
And it also looks cool.
Which is kind of, I guess, against what bassists are known to look like, like it's,
we're usually the guy in the
you're
back
supposed to be the
playing the roots, nobody ever, people like, at a concert, they'll go up to the bass player and be like, can you take a picture of me with a band? So,
you're like, I want now that to, change.
Exactly.
Cool. Have you had any interesting collaborations now that you've blown up, or discovered someone, reach out to you and be like, hey, I want to do something, and you're like, oh, I didn't know you existed, and you're fucking amazing.
So there's been some interesting things that have happened for sure. Recently, excuse me. There's this lady who was on, the YouTube series Jubilee.
Yes and no. I haven't really watched, but I know.
It's those where it's like one guy, they're in a white room and one guy swipes left on 20 girls, but in real life, or they do dating, speed dating and videos and stuff like that. Well, there's this one lady named Summer who was on there. They did one where it was about musicians.
Oh,
and
nice.
This 6 different musicians were ranking themselves based on their skill, right? And so she was the one who I think they ranked at the top, or the second most. And she was a great piano player. And so she commented on my Mario video, which also blew up, and she was like, wow, this is amazing, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, thank you so much. I remember you on that Jubilee video years ago. This is crazy. Right? And so she sent me a message, and we just kind of kept chatting back and forth. And it turns out after that Jubilee video, she had gone on to work with Polyphia. And I think, who's that lady that did Blue recently? B. Brexa. I don't know how to pronounce.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, she did the cover of Blue that blew up. Anyway, she played with that chick, and she did all this type of stuff. And so she introduced me to this new platform called We Are Giant, which is a cool thing. They've had really big names who have worked with Live Nation and done all these live streams that have generated apparently millions of dollars. They work with two-set violin and all this stuff. So it's they're starting this new platform for musicians where you can live stream and host listening parties and all these different kind of things, and connect with fans in maybe a deeper way, and fans can connect with each other in that way. So she kind of hooked me up with that. So there's been some cool things that have happened like that here and there, and some big things. I think one of the Big Bang Theory's actresses, the lady who plays what's her name? Not Bridget.
Bernadette.
Yeah. Yeah. her brother asked me to like collaborate. So there's been like a couple of like
cool.
interesting things that have happened. I'm still hoping for like a big, like, big artist to like to message me and be like, oh, I'm playing at Rogers Arena.
Yeah. Can you come?
Yeah. Can you come out and play bass with me?
Down, yeah.
So like, hopefully that happens. I don't know. Like Kyle Gass from Tenacious D follows me, and
nice.
Yeah, the keyboard player from what's it? Dream Theater follows me. So a bunch of
wow, yeah.
So some big names follow me. So like I'm hoping that one of these days, like one of them's like
someone breaks their finger.
Yeah,
I'm kidding.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we need a bass player.
But am I kidding?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But
or just like, I'm not feeling up for it today. Can you, fill in? You're like, yeah, sure.
Yeah. So we'll see. There's still like a lot of potential things. I'm getting calls all the time. I'm getting a lot of messages about like brand deals and like companies wanting me to like sponsor their product or whatever and post about it, which I'm not really into. Even though that sometimes they offer money and free gear.
You're like, I want to play music.
I want to connect with my fans, and I feel like that's gonna just disconnect me from my fans, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That's fair.
Yeah.
Who would you be like, just like thrilled to play with? Like, who would you be like, yes, I don't like, I'll jam all the whatever I have to play in like 3 minutes as long as I can get to play with you guys?
That's a good question. I would really love to play with my favorite bass player, obviously Victor Wooten.
Yeah.
He would be sick. Or Marcus Miller, my other favorite bass player. Charles Berthoud, somebody like that. That's for bass players, but for like non-bass players, I guess I would really love to play with somebody like Dennis Chambers or like who's that guitarist? That Norwegian guy, Owain. I don't know. He's a Norwegian crazy virtuoso guitarist.
Nice. Yeah.
Or like this trumpeter from Cuba, Arturo Sandoval. I don't know how to pronounce it.
You pronounced it really good. You rolled your R's. Yeah.
That was solid. Okay, Arturo Sandoval.
Yeah, you got it.
He's this Cuban trumpeter. Love to play with him. Just random artists that I look up to. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. How did you get into because you won this contest by playing Música de Noche.
Yes.
That's the word. That's the name. So yeah, it's Latin jazz fusion. How did you get into like Latin jazz?
Yeah. So when I was in music school, my first year, I attended. Most of the first years don't get to join an ensemble or one of the playing ensembles, but I attended a concert where the different ensembles were playing, and I saw the Latin jazz ensemble, and I was like, dude, this is sick. They're playing a lot of music from Cuba and stuff like that, but like it was like Latin jazz, so it was like Cuban music, but like
just the original jazz.
Yeah, totally. But like influenced heavily by jazz stuff, and so I was like, man, this sounds so dope. And so I just like basically at that point forward, I was just obsessed with like trying to learn how to play salsa music and stuff like that. So I just
do you dance it?
Oh,
no.
Yeah, I wish. I one of the reasons I play music is because I don't know how to dance, and I still need a way to look cool. So, but yes, I wish. I should probably learn. But yeah, no, I just became obsessed with learning how to play salsa music on the bass after that. And then I got into the Latin jazz ensemble the next couple years, and it was just a big influence over my overall musicality and direction as a musician, learning how to play salsa music. It was just, there's just all these catchy rhythms and melodies that really get stuck, and just the way the rhythms intertwine. So that really influenced my composition, Musica della Noche, just like all the whole, like, it was basically trying to capture all that, but like just on the bass. Yeah,
nice. Yeah, it was a really cool song.
Thank you.
So yeah, I'm glad you won with that song.
Totally.
And you released that song. You released it last year, along with a bunch of other songs, which is your debut album.
Yes.
So and you're working now on a new one? Are you writing now new music?
That's correct. Yes, I'm starting. So yeah, I released my debut album Reawakening last September at Guilt & Co. actually, but now I'm working on a new EP.
Okay.
It was a kind of a very spur of the moment decision because when I went viral on social media with Get Lucky and Mario and stuff like that, I was just like, okay, this is actually really good because I've had the success, and this is the kind of success that adjudicators really look for when they're adjudicating grants. At least I think, I assume. Right? I hope they see those 70,000 followers and are like, yes, that's what we're looking for. But we'll see. But no, so I was just like, okay, like maybe I should apply for a grant now. Maybe I can finally get one because I've done a project, I've spent money on it and everything. And then when they can see the success I've gained from this project, maybe they might be more likely to give me the grant because I've, only I think got one, or I guess I got, actually no, a Reawakening got a grant too, a factory grant, but it was only $2,000, right? So, So this one I'm trying to get like $10,000, which is a bigger ask. But so it was just a for spur of the moment decision. I was like, oh crap, the deadline's in a month. And I was like, okay, I got to get on this, right? What am I going to do? I guess I'll make an EP. I guess I'll do another one. I need a follow up one anyway, right? So I was like, okay, my version of Mario went viral, so that's definitely going on there. And then I was like, okay, what else? I guess I've been working on a lot of different funky songs over the last couple of years, so I just picked to kind of finesse them, and then we recorded them actually just this week on Wednesday and Thursday. So we got I got a couple like really funky kind of jazz fusion kind of tunes going on there. And I'm definitely going to put my arrangement of Mario, and I'm going to medley all these different like Mario themes on there, like, the underwater theme and the overworld theme and stuff. And then, yeah,
that's so cool.
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked about that. And then we'll see. Maybe I'll try to add a couple more songs to make it, full EP. But yeah.
Are you looking to do like covers or more like? Do you have like a few? Have you worked on a few of your own compositions to?
Yeah, like the two full band songs that we recorded this week were, totally original, like just super funky, very complicated songs. There's definitely some frustrations for me and the other players in trying to learn the songs, which is why I try to choose the absolute best players. So, which they all slayed it, but, so it's, I have a couple of originals. I'm going to try to compose one more solo bass original because I want to apply to the Western Canadian Music Awards, and they need 3 originals. So I was like, I need one more, and then Mario
they have to be
themes.
like new originals.
Exactly, okay. Right? So not before recorded, I think. So I can't choose one of my old songs. And then Mario's obviously going on there. And then the other day I just had this weirdest idea. I was like, what if I turned like California Girls by Katy Perry into like a funky jazz fusion like tune? So I came up with a crazy arrangement of that. And we didn't have time to record it, unfortunately. But maybe if I have enough time and money, I might try to schedule a time to record that one as well. Yeah. So that would be pretty sick.
Nice. Yeah. Well, looking forward to it. Yeah.
Me too. Thanks.
And what are your plans next besides, recording and, applying for the awards and all of that?
That's a great question. So basically one of my main focus is right now is just like the social media and trying to capitalize on that and trying to, it's one of the places I've seen the most success in my career recently. So I think it would be a smart idea to try to make the most out of that. And so what I'm planning right now is I don't really like doing brand deals, like I said, but one of the things I'm planning now is starting an online bass school.
Nice.
So, so that's another thing I'm going to try to do is put up like an online bass school where I can, you know, put up like, you know, all these different tutorials and bass tabs of all my arrangements and up, and then like people can learn to play like me, basically.
Yeah.
Right. So, and that's one way to monetize, I guess, this the social media thing, right?
Yeah.
Is, you know, put up a product, turn it into a business, basically. So
yeah, service. Yeah, for people that want to learn how to play like you.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's one thing I'm focusing on right now is just putting that together, and you know, just keeping on the social media train, try to you know, keep the viral momentum going. We'll see. And then just, you know, that, and finishing up the CP and hoping, you know, and then obviously I want to try to get, I recorded a music video recently to like a live kind of off the floor of music video when we recorded the song on Thursday. So I'm kind of try to put out a couple music videos and try to get into more big festivals for next year.
Nice.
Hopefully the Jazz Fest. We did Fort Langley last year. Hopefully I get to do, you know, some of the other ones around BC.
Do all the tour. Yeah. Do all the BC tour.
Yeah.
The Jazz BC tour.
BC tour, exactly. Yeah. That would be pretty sick.
Nice. Well, hopefully we get to catch you next summer.
Yeah.
On all of those festivals.
Yeah.
Nice.
Exactly.
Do you want to leave your social media tags?
Sure.
Just so people can, if you haven't followed him, you will now.
Yeah. So my social media tags are at Colin Sankey Bass. I think that's my social media tag for every platform, I think. Honestly, if you just look up Colin Sankey on each platform, you should find me right away because
there's not a lot of
Colin Sankey.
Yeah.
And if you search the word bass after Colin Sankey, you'll definitely find me.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
This was really fun. I really hope we can get to catch you in a bunch of like festivals next summer.
Yeah.
And we're happy to have you here.
Thanks so much for having me. Yeah. It's a real pleasure.
I'll give you a nice cheers with this one. Oh,
I finished.
Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna have to.
We can't make, you know, proper cheers.
We have to. Yeah, we can't have an empty cheers. That's for sure.
Here you go.
Perfect. Thank you.
I'll do just a little bit, just to
top it off.
Yeah. Just to be, you know, fair. Equal.
Yeah, exactly. Nice.
Yeah. Cheers.
Perfect. Thank you. Cheers.